Look up voluntarism, research voluntarism, egalitarianism. We can still have the same infrastructures, but it's voluntary, meaning if you don't have a fishing license and you're at a lake, and a quote agent of authority comes and says, do you have a license, your permit, your license, whatever, societal permission, there's not a threat behind it. At no point does this person that's asking you about this have the presumption to be able to draw their weapon on you because you don't have a fishing license, or because you don't have a driver's license, or because you don't have anything. If you're not, that's what no victim equals no crime means. So it's not about having no institutions. It's about not having the presumption of these people to violate our rights in the process of exercising their duties.
Right. I would agree with that setup. I think most people would, right? Is
the Constitution.
Right. I think most people would, right? And hold on. Whoever's on, I'm gonna mute you real quick because you're echoing. All right. So yeah, I don't think most people would disagree with that, right? We should have like less of those like barriers to live our lives, like fishing licenses and things like that. I don't know why they exist, but I do know that one thing that I've always noticed is that anytime there's a license or a law for something, it's because somebody screwed something up, and therefore so people had to make a rule for it. You see what I'm saying? So like, as far as like your example, fishing licenses, I'm not sure why that exists. I don't know the history behind that.
Because it makes money, and people will say, oh, it's because it keeps the parks clean. But no, A, they're not really that clean, and B, there's other money that is allocated to that. Fishing is an alienable right. Think of it this way. Even the most tyrannical kings of the past did not demand that their fucking citizens, their subjects, go out and get more permission from other people who represent him to go fishing. They knew that if they were going to subjugate people and get their taxes and get their fucking labor, that these people needed to fucking eat. So even those tyrannical kings weren't so hubris, weren't so egoic to sit there and like try to legislate people's ability to engage with the natural world in order to be subjugated.
Right, but those people who did fish and everything like that without a license, they had to give a portion of that fish to their. Please stay on mute because you're okay. They have to give a portion of the fish to their lord because it was basically serfdom. So even though there was no fishing licenses, that food didn't really belong to them, did it? You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
but we know now today that was birthed in violence. Demanding the product of someone's labor without their consent is violence. That's why it's called violence, because you're violating their bodily autonomy and the extension of their bodily autonomy in the form of their labor, which is their currency. In that case, the fish or the money or whatever it is.
Right. No, I get that. Right. I don't have a big beef with like anarchism. I was not sure how long it would work. That's the only thing. And not to be fair, that's only because I haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? That's really the only reason, just to be fair with it. I haven't seen it, which is the only reason why I don't know how long or if it'll work at all. That's really the only reason.
That's because it predates capitalism and it predates colonialism. In fact, my contention is that this original chattel slavery that occurred wasn't even about skin color or penile size or any of that bullshit. It was because the people were indigenous and thus sustainable and had achieved abundance, and capitalism cannot compete with abundance. And so they had to assimilate YT people to get the numbers, the population numbers, to compete with the indigenous peoples of the world. And that's what it continues to be today. It's not people versus people. It's scarcity versus sustainability. And you can only reach sustainability through voluntary engagements.
That's literally the reason. Yeah, that's the reason. Because of capitalism, they needed to make more profit. So yeah, that's the reason. You know what I mean? Now, but like I said before, I don't have a really big issue with anarchy, right? I just never seen it. That's the only thing. It's the only
look up
that's the only. Say that again.
They have problems. They do have problems, but one little test city that they're doing in modern times, because there have been, if you look up throughout history, there's been anarchist societies. Even the San people today are kind of anarchists. But if you look at this place called Oroville, it's in India, it's an anarchist city, and they have their problems, but it's still functioning.
Yeah. Same with it's not. I'm not sure if it's Somaliland. I know there's Somalia and there's Somaliland, right? Because separated. But I think Somaliland basically operates the same way pre-colonial. Right now, I think most of them are still Muslim, so they may have some sort of system of governance. And I don't disagree that the fact that there can be interactions and even like social structures without having an imposed government. That's all true, right? I don't have any issue with that. But as far as what we have right now, this is the type of society that people are choosing to live in. One that has a governance, one that has, a military police, one that has certain rules of law on how people can behave and stuff like that. If we're going to have that type of governance, then we should institute policies that would be better that would uplift human well-being as much as possible. That's the only reason why I say the leftist policies are better for society. Now, if you're going to say that anarchy or an anarchist society will be better for humankind, that's a discussion to have. But I'm not going to argue against it.
Nope. I just wanted to see where you were at because we haven't gotten a chance to talk. I wasn't baiting you necessarily, but I just want to see where you're at. I respect how you handled that. I love it. And the difference is voluntary means, and it's not that we can't do it. It is that we're gonna do it, and these institutions, because we're already doing it. 99% of what you do in your life and in a day is voluntary. Nobody's making us be on this app or not be on this app. Nobody's making you go to work or not go to work, so on and so forth. But that 1%, that 1% could cost somebody look like you and me a life.
Agree.
That 1% is tyranny. That 1% is tyranny, and I think it was Benjamin Franklin said, if you will trade any bit of freedom for any bit of security, you deserve neither and will receive none.
All right, yeah, I appreciate that. That one, how's it going? That one, yeah, I want to say something. I see your hand was up.
Yeah, I just came on for the anarchist bit. I think a lot of times too, we confuse the vehicle for the destination in these conversations. Right, because I have been in the ANCOM and I've talked about solidarity with other lefty movements and stuff like that. But as an anarchist at heart, like I think that we lose something sometimes when we confuse where we're headed for how we're getting there. And I think that we need all hands on deck. And so we'll need all the lefties on deck. And that doesn't mean that the anarchists can be trusted to be lefties, because like in America, a lot of the anarchists are just fash with extra.
Yeah, they're ANCAPs.
Right. Well, that's not a fucking thing, but I mean, those are just Yahtzees. I just mean with like libertarian shit. I just mean with like this idea of like, because like anarchists, at least from the side that I identify with, aren't against, like, we're not against there being structures. We're against there being a loyalty to structure over need.
Right. No, I
right. Like I, for me, it's fine for there to be some structures, but if those structures are an impediment to the well-being of human beings, then they should not be trusted and they have to be dismantled. And like, while we're doing that, I have total solidarity with other lefties. Afterwards, if they're trying to rebuild new systems or whatever, like there might be some things I don't agree with, but we still need mechanisms, right? Even in an anarchist society, there are still mechanisms that provide conditions.
Right, I got you. Give me a second. Let me talk to right-wing woke real quick. All right, right-wing woke, I'm not sure how that's even a thing, but sure, let's go ahead and talk. What should I call you? Is right-wing woke a good name, or John, or what?
You could call me Louis.
All right, Louis, how's it going? I'm gonna ask you for the explanation of that screen name, but before we get into that, are you at least 18, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
I'm 50 and New York Trump voter, of course, but it's not that I disagree with what you have on the board. It's just that I wish it was more fleshed out. This whole concept of leftist policies. What does that even mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's exactly why I put it up, because if I put a whole list of things, it's going to be too much for people to read. So I just went ahead and just put one thing so we could talk about it. All right. So when I talk about leftist policies, give me 1 second. They said about 5 o'clock, baby, about 5:11. All right. So when I talk about leftist policies, someone mute up because I'm there we go. All right. So when I say leftist policies, I'm talking about things such as universal education, meaning from daycare to college. It's all public. It's all paid for. Also, universal healthcare as well, single payer. I'm talking about things such as guaranteed housing, minimum wage tied to inflation in your area of living, things like that. And we can go ahead and keep going on and fleshing those things out. Also, of course, protecting I believe that women should have the right to do with their own body, so reproductive rights, things of that matter. Prison reform, of course. I think those things are really better for society. Ending the war on drugs, those things.
Yeah, those policies have certain drawbacks. It's hard to make universal housing work because it kind of raises the price of the housing that is available. It's like we're dealing with that in New York right now. And for the most part, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think that the heart of the American platform is capitalistic religious tolerance and individual liberty. So as long as you don't step on those things, I don't know why we couldn't experiment with some of those policies. You have to understand that America is 50 states that were designed to fight with each other, so that there is going to be only one way to get universal health care, and that is through a constitutional amendment. But other than that, I wouldn't mind seeing more experiments towards your policies so that we could try to make things easier, because we are going towards a more social society, because automation and globalization is doing what it is to the economy as it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that the idea of America is supposed to be individualism, merit-based, religious tolerance and everything like that. But we see that throughout American history, and even so now to today, it's in practice that doesn't happen, right? Especially what's going on with, now you said that you're a New York Trump voter, a Trump supporter. From what I've seen out of the MAGA movement, there's no religious tolerance there at all. You see what I'm saying? It's all just Christianity or nothing. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about religious tolerance, and then we're going over into Trump support, I don't see the religious tolerance there, which is why I was going to ask you, why vote for Trump? Because everything I'm talking about, he and most of MAGA would be completely against. I've spoken to them plenty of times, and they think that single payer or universal health care means that, everybody's going to be working for some government doctor, and they're going to choose if grandma is on the plug or not. That's kind of ridiculous, right?
I think that's inevitable, to tell you the truth. You can't give a hip surgery to someone with terminal cancer. It's not financially effective to do so.
Yeah,
it's just one of those sad things of reality. We are not guaranteed everlasting life, whether we have universal health care or not. But going back to what you said, I take a little bit of umbrage that you're saying that maybe the MAGA movement might be pig-headed when it comes to religious tolerance, but you have to understand the MAGA movement are just really, really loud Republicans, and Republicans know the value of having a diverse structure of religious beliefs. We have Indians, we have Buddhists, we have Jewish people there, and I think, if anything, the Republican Party is going to become a more safe haven for the Jewish community. So yeah, whether MAGA likes it or not, we Republicans do promote religious tolerance.
I mean, I think every regular old day Republicans are going to be fine, right? Like I think that about basically everyone. No matter where you are on the spectrum, left, right, middle, whatever. Most people don't really care about what religion you are, right? But MAGA is the one that's in control of the Republican Party at the moment. But when it comes to the left, and when you say that Jewish people are going to be more safer within the Republican Party as opposed to more leftist parties?
Yes.
The reason why I disagree with that is because our issue isn't really with Jewish people or Judaism in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's with Israel and Zionism. That's the issue, because political Zionism, even from the person who created political Zionism, said that it's basically a settler approach. It's basically colonization. It's colonizing the land. They literally said this. You see what I'm saying? So we know that's what they're doing, and everybody has from the left to the right has already repudiated what Israel is doing in Palestine, right? So it's not that, Jewish people are not unsafe. No one really cares. As a matter of fact, a huge big leftist organization right now is called, I think, UFA, Unfuck America. The woman who started is Jewish. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about being Jewish. It's about repudiating what Israel is doing in Palestine. I don't think saying that, y'all are committing a genocide over here is all of a sudden anti-Semitic. Now, a lot of people would say that it is, but it's really not.
Well, my problem with this whole supposed pro-Palestine movement is that most of the people who claim to be pro-Palestine do not understand world history, and they don't even have a Palestinian leader to get behind. They're just following a trend of, if it's close to whiteness, I'm against it. And it's kind of childish in my eyes.
That's kind of silly, because Marxism was created by a white person, and a lot of people are down with Marx. So it's not about being close to whiteness. It's about what causes damage and what doesn't. And Israel right now is killing a whole bunch of children. So yeah, they're going to be against it.
That's the headline. But in actuality, military-aged men who with weapons aren't children anymore.
But there's not headlines. There are literally people on there, like NGOs, like non-government agencies, charities, Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders are not people doing this for headlines. They go anywhere to help people out. Doctors Without Borders has reporting that, yes, IDF targeted and took out children. Like they're the ones saying this. It's not people just being up here saying whatever, bro. These are actual agencies, Red Cross. They're all saying I think these IDF soldiers are literally pointing their weapons and taking out children. Like this is not something that you can read the reports. Matter of fact, a recent report from Doctors Without Borders has said that they found like headshot wounds, like straight through the brain. This is the only thing that you can do through a targeted sniper weapon from the IDF of children. So yes, they are taking out children.
Yeah. For one thing, Sakafet. What's up, man? Yeah. My thing is that I don't want to prosecute the Palestine war again, because we've spoken about it ad nauseum. I generally do not believe the purported data, because it's coming from Hamas directly sometimes, and I think a lot of people aren't looking at the incident with a critical lens. They just hear something and then they repeat it. But that's another issue. What I'm
trying to say is that the report that I just gave you, it didn't come from
Doctors Without Borders.
It came straight from Doctors Without Borders. They're the ones reporting it, not anybody else.
Okay, and when they say children, I'm taking it to
10 years old. That's what they're talking about.
I do not look.
I know you don't believe it, but like, why would Doctors Without Borders lie about this? They're doctors.
It's not. I don't know. I don't know who is Doctors Without Borders. What does that mean? What individual? What official statement came from Doctors Without Borders that says that?
Okay, so Doctors Without Borders
are the primary target.
No, Doctors Without. I'm saying that they're primary target. I'm saying that they're taking out children, but Doctors Without Borders is an organization that basically is doctors who volunteer their time all over the planet, right? Anywhere that's a war zone. Exactly. Okay, so they're the ones reporting that, yes, so IDF are shooting children over in Gaza.
What is like I said, I need an official statement from a representative from Doctors Without Borders. The nebulous term of Doctors Without Borders, it doesn't constitute as evidence. It's hearsay at this point.
It's okay. So you want me to actually bring you the article that came out, or?
By all means, if you feel the need to, that's fine. But I'm still saying that military-aged men or young men with firearms does not constitute children anymore.
Understood, but they're talking about 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. Like, these are reports that come out of there all the time, bro. There are, as a matter of fact, this is not the only time reports of children being murdered are coming out of Gaza. The last Gaza war that happened in 2006, there were reports of children being murdered. As a matter of fact, an IDF soldier was arrested for it. He was acquitted, and he even said he'll do it again. It was in a newspaper. So there are people who there are IDF soldiers who literally go out there and shoot children. That happens, bro. We just can't keep bringing this on this.
Yeah, well, do you understand that this is a total war, right? Where the
children are not soldiers.
The children. I think no, they are. They could be. There's a such thing called child soldiers.
There is something called child soldiers that does happen in Africa. I agree with you, right?
Oh,
but
God.
These people are not soldiers. The children are not soldiers in this war, bro.
That sounds like an affirmation of faith, and I don't buy that.
It's not
I've seen their propaganda.
The story that I'm talking about. Listen, the story that I'm talking about of the 13-year-old girl who was murdered by an IDF soldier. She was not a soldier, bro. She was a regular kid. There's also journalists. Journalists are not soldiers either, right? Yeah, journalists are not soldiers either.
Some of them
right?
are.
No, journalists are not. Journalists are not soldiers, bro. Journalists are not soldiers.
I know one in particular who has got a lot of press, and then it showed that he was actually a high-ranking member of Hamas.
How much you want to bet?
One in particular.
How much you want to bet is that's propaganda and it's not true? Because
that's the thing that we're okay. Here's the problem.
I know. Okay. Listen. Let's say I give you that one was a high-ranking member of Hamas, right? But there are thousands, and maybe not thousands, but hundreds of journalists who got killed in this war. This recent one. Not all in total. I'm talking about this recent one. Hundreds of journalists who are not soldiers, who actually came from like the UK and the US. As a matter of fact, Marcus Lamont Hill was a co-worker of one of the people who was killed over there. He's not a member of Hamas. He grew up in America all his life. He had no terrorist ties. IDF killed him. And he was killed by them, not by Gaza. He was killed by Gaza. What I'm saying is that IDF soldiers, I'm saying that in Israel, journalists and children, people who are supposed to be off limits to all this, are being killed, and a lot of them are being straight up targeted, and they know they're targeted because they know how like bullets and shooting is supposed to happen. They know they target them. So if that's happening, these are war crimes. They need to be prosecuted for that. I'm not saying Hamas doesn't need to be prosecuted for that. Hamas does horrible things. Yeah, I agree with that. Prosecute them from war crimes. So we can't bury our head in the sand and pretend that Israel is the good guys here. They're literally not.
Here's my problem. All right, I want to walk this back a bit because I don't see us seeing eye to eye on the prosecution of the Palestinian conflict. Ultimately, I'm going to be pro-Western society over 7th century religious authoritarians who believe that the more suffering you put on someone's flesh brings you closer to God. The fact is, Israel is Israel is a mature, metropolitan, modern society versus 7th century religious authoritarians. I don't want 7th century religious authoritarians coming into my country and practicing their faith of spreading the suffering. All right, that's the whole thing. That's what conservatism is. You can't play moral relativism with Hamas. You can't.
I understand that we can't play. That's not what I'm trying to do. You're saying that you don't want Iron Age or ancient religious cultures that says more suffering is going to go ahead and bring people closer to God. Yeah, there are some sects of Judaism that do that. There are sects of Christianity that do that.
We're not,
and there are sects of Islam.
Wait.
Hold on. Look, that's what I'm saying. There are sects of Judaism that do that.
Orthodoxy. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. You're talking about Islam, but you realize that you realize that Islam have different sects and different schools, right?
Well, here's the thing, though. When they're not inflicting suffering on the non-believer, they're inflicting suffering on each other.
Who? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Okay, let's use the word jihadist.
Jihadist? You think every Muslim is a jihadist?
That's an overreach and an uncharitable interpretation of what I said.
Okay, so if you know that every Muslim is not jihadist, and you said I don't want people coming into the country and practicing that, everybody doesn't want. We all don't want a terrorist in our country. All of us don't want that. Muslims don't want that either.
I don't know if that's true or not. I think the progressives are so fixated on, we don't want anything that have a proximity to whiteness. They unilaterally
no one says that, bro.
chose.
No one says
yes,
that, bro.
They do.
No one says that.
It's a knee-jerk reaction.
No, it's not, bro. No, it's not.
They almost religiously believe that if it's white, it's wrong.
Wrong. Incorrect. So why would they believe in Marxism? That came from a white guy.
Marxism.
This is silly, bro. Socialism and Marxism are white ideas. Look, those came from white guys. This is silly, bro. What are you talking about?
Marxism and socialism.
Listen. If anything that was approximate to white is wrong, why would a whole bunch of white people in this country who are leftists will also be Marxists? That was created by a white guy. This is stupid.
Because Marxism is a resentment-based religion.
No, it's not. Marxism
is.
Marxism is a analysis of society, especially capitalism. It's not a religion.
It is.
Who's the God?
The God is a classless, stateless society. The God is the proletariat.
That's not a God.
It's like it has its heaven, and it came out of Gnostic teachings.
What paranormal activity does it teach? What paranormal does it teach?
Does it teach anything
about the afterlife? Does it teach anything about metaphysics?
They believe in a classless, stateless, moneyless society.
That's not a God. That's not paranormal. Every religion proposes something paranormal, even Buddhism. Every religion proposes something paranormal. Marxism doesn't propose anything paranormal. We've had moneyless societies. We've had moneyless societies before, right?
I don't think we've had currency-less societies.
We've had moneyless societies before. Hunter-gatherer societies. Okay. Hunter-gatherer societies were without money.
But even then, they traded pelts.
Listen to what I'm saying. I know they traded pelts, but it wasn't money. They just bartered, right?
Okay.
Marxism is an analysis of society, especially capitalism. Yes, at the end goal, they propose communism, which is a class-money society. That doesn't make it paranormal. It doesn't make it a god. All right. So when you say that they believe in some sort of religion, which Marxism is a religion, it's not. That's silly. And not only that, when you say anything approximate to whiteness is then seen as bad, that's also silly because a whole bunch of white leftists believe in Marxism, and a whole bunch of white leftists would vote for Gavin Newsom, who's a white guy. This is dumb, bro. Like saying that anything saying that if it approximates to whiteness, therefore bad, is silly. When we're talking about things such as white supremacy, that's what we're talking about. White supremacy, white homogeny, things like that. Those are things that need to be analyzed and deconstructed.
There's like 6 lives going on right now that's like saying that whiteness is evil, whiteness is racism, whiteness should be abolished. So it's like, look, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. After World War II, the people who were promoting Marxism in Frankfurt, Germany, said that why do we keep failing? And they sat back and they itemized who are the enemies of the socialist society. Sorry. And they came up with patriarchy, nationalism, Catholicism, capitalism, and racism. That
all those are correct.
And that's the thing, though. All of those became the foundations of Marxist critique theory of society. So that's why there are so many people who think that Marxism is great, because it was designed to deconstruct and destroy patriotism, nationalism, gender identity, heteronormativity. It's, of course, there's people who like socialism because it's basically trying to destroy the country.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's the Frankfurt School.
So the Frankfurt School the Frankfurt School has multiple things, right? Like how you said, they analyze gender ideology. They not gender ideology, but they genderize like gender ideas. They analyze things like patriarchy and nationalism, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that just because we analyze these things and we deconstruct them and we would like to understand where they come from and how
There's
they
a name for it.
listen. And where they come from and how they affect society doesn't mean that we all of a sudden want to destroy America. Hold on, because America was also founded on the idea that I'm not a person. We deconstructed that destroy America. No, there's no reason to say to that. America was founded on the idea that I'm 3/5 a person. We deconstructed that. That didn't destroy the country.
I get that.
Exactly. So
I get that. I get that. But wait.
Deconstructing ideas that may cause harm to society does not mean that you're going to fundamentally destroy society in of itself. That's silly.
Okay. Here's the thing. The word that describes this is called praxis. Or if you really want to go there, we could call it wokeness. Wokeness is the first, like, let's look at it rationally. The first level of wokeness is to be aware of systems of oppression, right? The next level of wokeness would be to say something. If you see something, say something. Fair, right? Then after that is going to be if you're going to say something, you might as well do something. That is called praxis. Gradually moving towards a socialist society and agitating against the system that is right now. And I'm telling you, the anti-Israel stuff, it's praxis. It's praxis because a lot of them are Caucasian or productive, capitalistic, and the like. They are close to whiteness, so they're wrong.
No, they're white. I think, but the thing is, it's not difficult to whiteness because they're wrong, right? Because they're, first of all, they're white. But the second thing is that they're not wrong simply for being white. They're wrong because they're colonizers, and colonialism is bad. We've seen how bad colonialism is. Literally, the majority of issues we see in Africa right now came from colonialism.
I could probably agree to a certain extent, but
so because they're colonizers and because they have an apartheid state, that's why they're wrong. Not because they're white. No one bothers the Czech Republic, right? Because the Czech Republic is minding their own business. They no one cares about that.
I don't remember the Czech Republic being in a blood feud of this proportion.
Exactly. When you say that it's because they have approximate to whiteness, therefore that's why people think they're bad. That's silly. What I'm saying is that flattens the legitimate criticisms that people have against them, such as them being colonizers, them kicking people off their land who's been there for years, and them actually killing children. Things that actually have happened. Well, and a lot of them are saying that they're doing all this because the Bible allows, or not the Bible, but their religion allows them, or their God promised them this land. A lot of them have straight up said that, right? So when we look at these ideas, we're like, yo, this is a fucked up thing to do. It's not because they're white. They're doing something screwed up. There are people who criticize a lot of things that happen in the Congo too. Are they criticizing those people because they're black? No, they're criticizing them because they have child soldiers, and that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That's not because they're white.
Well, no, I'm telling you this right now. A lot of progressive arguments could be boiled down to anti-whiteness. Period.
Such as what?
It's not even an intellectual thing. If productivity and survivability is deemed white, it has to be rejected. If an African American person if a black person uses good diction, he's trying to be white. The fact is, on an academic level, these people are preaching anti-whiteness as a form of moral superiority, and it's stupid. And you might not believe it, but I've seen it. They're doing it right now as we speak. You know what I'm saying? If it's white, if it's proximity to white, it's evil. That's the whole progressive stack.
No, it's not. No, it really isn't, because this seems to like I'm not trying to be insulting here, but have you sat in these college courses to actually see what they're trying to say?
I've helped kick college professors out of their tenured jobs because they were telling people that whiteness is evil. I have gone and contacted schools because college professors.
How do they actually define whiteness? How do they define that?
Well, that's the thing, though.
Yeah, you
whiteness
don't
in
know.
itself.
So what do it? Okay, my bad. I didn't interrupt.
No,
Go ahead.
it's no. Whiteness itself. There's this thing called a Mott and Bailey that you could take the safe definition of. Okay, no, whiteness is the system of oppression that allows people to have a fake allyship between Irish, in French, and when in actuality they were fighting with each other the whole time. But in America, they practice whiteness, which means a false sense of solidarity against the black man. That is the Mott. The Bailey or the unsafe definition, they do mean phenotype. They definitely mean that.
No,
phenotype.
they don't mean phenotype. They don't, because if they meant phenotype, they would say that they would definitely because if it meant phenotype, right? Irish and Italian would be considered white, but they will always tell people that if you're Irish, Italian, or German, or anything like that, you don't have to be within whiteness, right? They always tell you that. So if it was phenotype, then they wouldn't be saying stuff like that. So, but you are correct that where they say that how they define whiteness as basically defining people into an in-group based on their phenotype in order to be against anybody who's not part of that phenotype. Yeah, that idea is evil, right? Why would that not be an evil idea? Because what that does is that erases the entire your entire culture and only makes your phenotype the thing that is superior over everybody else. So that's an evil idea. So they're defining that as whiteness, and yeah, we should deconstruct that. That's evil. The reason why blackness even exists is because of that issue, because they had to set that up, and because historically they had to put some people over somebody else, which were the slave class, which was us, right? So that's the only reason black culture and blackness exists, and white culture and whiteness exists. So yeah, that idea of whiteness, of amalgamating these people in together out of their phenotype, and they're superior against everybody else because of their phenotype, that's an evil idea, isn't it not?
Yeah. To a certain extent, yes, it has to be challenged. But like I said, this is a progression. If being aware of it, saying something about it, then doing something about it. That's the general progression of progressive advocacy.
And
right?
what we do about it is that we dismantle the systems that were built around it. That doesn't mean that a white person all of a sudden is unhuman or less than human or anything like that. That means that the systems that were built to advantage white people is something that we need to go ahead and deconstruct. We need to look at our entire prison system and take a look at why it was built that way. And we all know it was built that way in order to advantage white people. Same thing with the healthcare system. The only reason why Medicare is not for everybody. Give me a second. The only reason why Medicare is not for everybody is because it was decided that, or it was realized that if it was for everybody, black citizens will also get it. So they said that, and so when that happened, when that was pointed out, they decided to not have Medicare for everybody and have it when you're 65. And the reason why they did it when you're 65 is because the age of the life expectancy of black men back then, the black people back then, was around 56. So if it's 65, that means black people won't be able to get it. And even if they do live to 65, now there's a 20% gap. So that means that those black folks won't be able to afford it if they're over 65. Those are the reasons why we don't have universal health care now, because black people will get it. Literally, that's the reason why. You see what I'm saying? So this idea is evil because now, years later, we're living with the consequences of that, where the majority of people who go bankrupt are going bankrupt because of medical bills. You know what I'm saying? So this idea of white supremacy needs to be deconstructed, right? So, and we can do that if we have things like universal health care, universal education, things like minimum wage tied to your area, things like guaranteed housing, things like that can deconstruct this entire prison reform. They can deconstruct all these ideas.
What about private property rights?
You can still have private property. No one's gonna take away your property.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I spoke my piece. I'm just gonna sit back and listen if you wanna.
All right, not a problem.
Talk
Appreciate
to
you.
else.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Sweet. What's that your name? Sweet Baby. That's your name?
Born.
Cool. Sweet.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Are you at least 18? And do you disagree with that on the board?
I'm 24 years old and I disagree way for the left policy because
All right, Guts, how's it going, Guts? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
I'm 23, and yeah, I disagree.
All right, great. What do you disagree with, and did you need to explain what leftist policies are talking about?
The reason why I disagree is I would say it's more of a critique, but it's because when we look at policies, so policies would influence what economy, you could say. It also influences individuals, and there's also structural power, right? Like the power of the structures of society themselves. So I guess politics, if you want. And you're saying everything that comes from the left side or leftist policies is better for society. Better, and my question would be this: better than what?
Better than what we
Right?
have now.
Okay. But you do realize we do have leftist policies right now. So you're saying leftist
Such as what?
policies are better than?
Such as what?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Such as what?
Oh, well, we could talk about certain healthcare policies, certain employment policies. Like, there's many things that you can get from, I guess, the left, quote unquote.
Okay.
But
Okay.
my-
Cool. Name one, and we'll see if that's good, a good thing or a bad thing for society.
Well, I think it's both. But for example, we could go with healthcare and universal healthcare being implemented in many different social democracies.
Yeah, we don't have that in America.
Is this only centered for America, or are you talking about like general society, so meaning the entire globe?
I'm talking about our society since we live here.
Okay, only the US. So in the US, we would have the equivalent would be Medicare, right? Or Obamacare, but it's, it's being dismantled a little bit.
Obamacare is not universal health care.
I know it's not. I said it would be the closest thing to that.
It's not even close.
That's a left policy. I said closest, meaning you don't have anything closer than that.
Medicare is
if we
closer.
compare it to-
Medicare is closer.
Okay, well, I mentioned Medicare, so
Mhm. Yeah,
go with that.
don't think that Medicare is not really universal, because you get it only when you're disabled or 65, and you should get it when you should get it whenever, instead of it being universal 65 and have a 20% gap.
Mm-hmm. How is it better for society? Because in theory it is better, but in practice it isn't always the case. That's
Yeah,
the
in
issue I have.
practice, Medicare consistently has higher what's that thing I was going to say again? Higher satisfaction. There we go. It has higher satisfaction rates than private insurance. It's also cheaper and pays for more, and things like that.
I would say it completely depends on the coverage you have, and I wouldn't go as far as saying it like the satisfaction is there.
No,
I would say that's a
satisfaction is on Medicare is always pretty high.
yeah, but based upon subjective data or whatever. So I'm not
They're
saying
all
I'm
subjective, my friend.
discrediting.
Satisfaction is
I
subjective, my friend.
understand.
So
That's my point. That's why I'm saying we can't really use that
why can't
as a
we?
claim.
Why can't we? Because it's like
Because it's not
if people have
objective
if people have higher satisfaction on Medicare than they do on private insurance, why would that not be a thing we use?
because let me put it this way. Certain people are satisfied with McDonald's. Does that mean McDonald's is good for them? Because it's cheaper also than the counterpart of whatever else they can get? No, it's not. This is why I'm not saying you're wrong, that it's better. I'm saying that using the argument that because it's satisfaction of having that product or that service doesn't mean you're having a good product or a good service. It just means you're satisfied with what you have.
All right. The reason why that doesn't work, that's weird, what is disanalogous, is because you're talking about food and you're talking about an actual medical service, right? When it comes to food, yeah, McDonald's tastes great. Like, I love their fries, but we can actually measure what McDonald's does to you, what it does to your body. Eating nothing but McDonald's for like 50 to 60 days, you're probably going to be very unhealthy, right? Well, actually, that we have to paying that. But like for example, having a whole bunch of McDonald's for every day, probably going to gain weight, probably going to be diabetic, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to when it comes to that, you're not going to be the same. We need to talk when it comes to something like medical services. We look at satisfaction, we look at access rates, and we also look at the health of the patients. And when it comes to Medicare, those things are usually very, very good, right? So when if they're good for access, if they're good for satisfaction, if they're good for health of the patient, then how can you say that it's a bad thing?
Fair enough. But my issue isn't necessarily that. And I'll be, I guess I'll try to be more direct. My issue is with the first part. So when you're saying leftist policies, meaning you're putting it in a box where it's only leftist policies that are better. And I don't, and maybe this is a fault of mine, but I try to view things very nuanced. So I don't look at one thing and I'm like, this is it or this is that. I try to see the good and bad in both and whatever, right? And I try to get the best out of the two or whatever perspective, whatever topic we're discussing, and implement all the elements that could make things better. So I wouldn't go as far as saying leftist policies are better. I would say perhaps they're more humane. They're more, they're more centered toward helping society, helping like it's more. I don't know what's the term, but when you look for others and the interest of others, that's what it looks for. Whereas the other policies are more centered around productivity, the individual. It's different perspectives. But I'm not saying there's one better than the other. I'm saying we need a balance between both.
I think leftist policies lead to higher productivity as well.
Could you make the argument for that?
Yeah, sure.
And I don't disagree.
Yeah, sure. The reason why did he leave? All right, y'all. This is the thing. Everybody gets 15 minutes. Okay, everybody gets 15 minutes a little bit more for us to talk. Okay. So I think it leads to higher productivity as well because like they're built to uplift human well-being and decrease stress, right? So one of the big things that decreases human productivity is, of course, things like stress. Things like stress, things like pollution, things like lower quality of health. What leftists would like to do is invest more into things like public infrastructure. So public transportation, things like that. So if we have more public transportation, that means that our air quality gets better. So that there are less people sicker. People are less stressed about, their cars and everything like that. So if we have less cars on the road, there's less traffic, which also decreases stress. And not only that, if we had more walkable cities, we have healthier people because they're walking more often rather than being in their car all the time. So if they're walking more often and being in their car all the time, that means these people are going to be healthier and more productive because they're walking, they're not stressed over their vehicles, and there's less pollution going around. And not only that, cities get less hot. Like they become a degree of less hotness because of all the cars that are no longer on the road. Because the more cars you have, the more you have to pave the road, and that pavement, the tar and the concrete and those parking lots, they suck up a lot of heat and it makes things a lot more hotter. So if things are less hot and people are walking more often and people are not worrying about the maintenance of their vehicles, meaning that all that money, like at least I think the average American spends at least $5,000 to $6,000 a year just on vehicle maintenance, not anything special, just maintain the vehicle. That extra amount of money they don't have to worry about mean that there's a lot less stress for them, mean that their productivity will go out at least a little bit higher. If you add universal healthcare to that, because now you have universal healthcare, anything else that's just your life, you can now have therapy for it. So if you go to therapy and everything like that, and that's free at the point of service, not completely free, it's just free at the point of service, you'll be able to talk to more people. And if you have something like such as universal education, meaning that daycare or pre-K is also paid for, that means that you don't have the stress of childcare anymore. Yeah, I'm saying all of these things increase productivity. It looks out for the human, but it also increases productivity because it decreases a lot of stress and decreases a lot of extra money that people don't have to spend on.
Can I ask you, where do you think then why, or this would be my question. Why do you think in America we've seen this shift from left to right, which was pretty radical in my opinion, that seemingly no one expected? And at first, I don't think it was that popular, but now it's almost like 50-50, and people don't want to align with leftist policies anymore. Do you think that's proof of a certain dissatisfaction, but like misaimed, and they just blame the people that we're trying to fix the issue, or do you think leftist policies also contributed to this unrest that people are feeling?
There were no leftist policies that contributed to any of this. All this is happening because of two main reasons: trans panic and essentially backlash of Obama. Yeah, I mean, because all Obama did was keep the status quo. Yeah, I mean, because he kept the status quo. Remember, Obama won on everything that I'm talking about. He talked about universal education. He talked about universal health care. He talked about better public transportation. He talked about all of that. Yeah, I mean, those are he talked about parental leave, guaranteed housing. When Obama was running in 2007, 2008, he ran on all those policies and he won. Why? Because it was a change to the status quo. But Obama kept the status quo. Sure, the ACA was a lot better than what we previously had, but for the most part, he kept the status quo. You know what I mean? So because of a backlash to that, because there was a section of society that simply doesn't like a black man being in power, we need to stop denying that, because these folks still call Obama the most divisive president, and he was the most lukewarm motherfucker ever. He was the most lukewarm nigga ever. You know what I'm saying? So like they still call him the most divisive racist president, and he ain't say nothing about that. So the backlash isn't about him being divisive or anything like that. It's about him being black. We just got to call a spade. All right. So because of that, and because people started panicking over trans people, now we have all of this. The backlash is more towards what society already has. Society stresses people out. So society sets up men for failure. It tells men that we're supposed to be providers and protectors, but it fails to actually give us the tools to actually do that, unless you're already in a position to already do that. And because of all these issues, because of systemic failures in our society, instead of the left, which what we should have did was promote and analyzing our society and saying that we need to look at what these things are doing to us, what these things are doing to men, instead of like scolding people. What the right did was say the reason why all these things are fucked up is because of immigrants and trans people, and people believed it.
Would you say lobbies, special interests have a large price? Because I, from a very young age, I was always interested in politics, but the more I grew up, the more I'm not uninterested. I'm still very interested in politics, but I feel like it's just a rigged game that will never be unrigged, because it's been rigged for too long. There's too much corruption, and the power imbalance between the people that can influence policies and the people is very, very, very unequal. Meaning, even if the people wanted something, the people are so divided that they they can't even agree to what they all want in common, because they think that they're fighting against each other, when it's really just no, you're fighting between you, and the people at the top are just watching and profiting you all.
Agreed. The special interests are definitely a big part of the reason. Like, for example, we have a climate crisis right now. Like nobody, even young conservatives, are not denying that we have a climate crisis. What the problem is that they keep blaming it on immigrants instead of blaming it on the oil industry. Though for example, there was just an MIT professor who was close to cracking, who was working on fusion technology. He even reported that he's close to cracking fusion technology. Fusion technology will basically give us a sun-like, like basically if you take the sun and you put it on Earth, right? There's a MIT professor who said that he was close to actually doing that, which would give society, humanity, unlimited energy, right? So that means no more electrical bills. That wouldn't happen anymore. He was murdered a few weeks ago. Think that's a coincidence?
What's his name? I'd like to look into that.
I forgot his name. Give me a second.
Okay. But MIT professor, so I can probably look that up.
His name was Nuno Loureiro. I'll put his name in the thing. That was his name, Nuno Loureiro. I think he was South American. But yeah, he was murdered a few weeks ago. And I don't think that's a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? We know that the oil industry has been paying off like environmental regulators, sending lobbyists to Washington in order to basically lobby for policies or lobby against like any laws or regulations that will be against them. Like we know that they've done that, right? So like that's one of the big reasons why we have a lot of the climate issues we have today because of fossil fuels.
I don't want to stick too long because you did say 15 minutes. I don't know like where we're at with the timing. And I guess to go back to your prompt, one thing is I don't necessarily disagree that certain policies are, for me, inherently better for society. But I think as like framing them as leftist policies, I don't know. It's not giving me the ick, but it's just like I feel like we're putting boxes on things that I don't know.
These should be. You're correct. There shouldn't be any labels on this, right? This should be just policies that we do for humanity, for our society, in order to make things better for us. They shouldn't be considered quote unquote leftist. But unfortunately, in our highly politicized state in America, the policies that I'm talking about that are just supposed to increase the well-being of our society, of human beings, are considered quote unquote left. So if that's going to be the case, they're better for society.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Do you feel like
give me one second. I got to finish off with.
I just wanted to ask, one more question, and I'm pretty much done. I wanted to have your insight on this particular. It's not a problem, but it's something I struggle finding the nuance within, or like having the like a definite answer. And you don't have to have one, but with social programs and how certain people take advantage of it, and how certain people, even though we put in place the social programs for them, they're not, they're not doing anything with it. Like it's not productive for them. What do you think is the answer to that? Like for the people that we can't seem to help because they don't want the help, kind of thing. Like
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I think most people who use the programs genuinely need the help, right? And sure, there are people who like the programs exist for them to get the help, but they just fuck it up. They don't want the help. The thing is, I'm not concerned about those people. I'm concerned more about the people who want the help, need the help, and will use the help. That's who we should be focused on. Those who are just going to be screw ups, there's always going to be that, right? But if 9 out of 10 people are going to be using the program, it's going to help them, and they're going to get better because of that. Why would I be worried about that one person who's fucking it all up? I'm only worried about that. I'm more worried about those 9 people. You know what I'm saying? Because those people who are just screw ups and they just can't get it together. They just can't get it together, bro. Like it is what it is. You see what I'm saying? Like that. Like even though we want to help the most people, leftists know that we can't help everybody. We know that. So if it's 9 out of 10 people and there's one fuck up, We're worried about the 9 people and that one fuck up. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? He'll just waste away, I guess. We don't know. Do whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna help the most people as we can. If it's 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Okay. And if we reverse the efficiency, let's say it's 1 out of 10 that benefits off of it, and 9 out of 10 don't really, would you still have the same stance? Yes.
Yeah, I have the same stance. We just need to rework the program. We have to see exactly what did we mess up and go back to see how we can improve it.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks to you for giving me some time, and nice talking to you, man.
Not a problem. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good.
Hey, sorry about that. I know I cut you off. Sorry about that. Kevin, how's it going, Kevin? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with something I had on the board? Actually, you had a question. What was the question?
Well, yeah, I'm 18. I'm in California. But the biggest question was, when you say humanity, I think you're like referring to worldwide humanity. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll refer to worldwide humanity, but specifically for this topic, I'm talking about American society.
Okay, because that's where I kind of think we get a lot of issues between the left and the right is, especially, let's take, for example, start from the beginning of Doge, when we went into the USAID situation and NGOs, there was a big pushback from the left as they felt like we were required to continue with support and humanitarian relief throughout the world. What do you feel about that?
When Doge cut off USAID.
Well, they didn't cut off USAID. What they did was they tried to audit and thoroughly oversight USAID, and they received a lot of pushback.
I don't have a problem with oversight, right? But the only issue that I had is that it already had it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is I think a lot of it came from mistrust of Elon Musk, essentially, because he essentially bought himself a government position. You know what I mean? But like when it comes to USAID and Doge, a lot of that pushback wasn't because we need to go ahead and take a look at this and make sure that all the money is going to where it is. The pushback was against don't trust that motherfucker, and I think that's correct. Don't trust him.
Don't trust him? Why?
He's a white nationalist. Why would I trust him?
He's a white nationalist, so because he's white, and because which nationalist he's from? America or?
He's from South America. I'm sorry, South Africa.
So it's a South African.
No, he's not South African nationalist. He's a white nationalist.
What nation?
Do you understand what a white nationalist is?
I believe so. Maybe I don't understand what your definition is, but what I believe is white nationalist.
I
said what I don't believe your definition.
Okay.
Go ahead. What is your definition?
A white nationalist is basically a white supremacist, a person who believes that quote unquote white people should be in control of a nation or of a society at the exclusion of others. He's a white nationalist. He's not a nationalist as in like he cares about America and he's so pro-America and happens to be white. That's not what that means.
I understand what you're saying to it, but that's why I asked you which country. I didn't know it was an overall thing. I thought it was nationalist towards either America or towards Africa.
No. A white nationalist is a person who believes in white national identity. And it's about white supremacy. It doesn't matter where they're from. There are people who are French white nationalists. There are people who are Swedish white nationalists. I've met a few. There are people who are Mexican white nationalists. Nick Fuentes.
I understand that, but what I'm just thinking was that it would be aligned to a specific nation. But okay, I understand what you mean by that.
No, yeah, it's not.
So you feel like he's okay, no problem. That's cool. So you feel like he's a white nationalist, and you didn't trust him being able to audit the funds that we were spending out throughout the international world. Throughout the international community.
Right, correct. Like, I don't trust him at all. Why would I trust somebody like that? Why would you trust a white nationalist?
Well, considering he's trying to save us money, I don't know why wouldn't you? He wasn't going there to take money. He was going there to audit the funds, try to make better systems and regulations.
Because white supremacists are dishonest. They're always going to be dishonest.
Wow. Well, if we got to go there, it's too much not to conversate on, because that means you're just going to distrust everything that somebody says that was white. Basically,
No, I'm not talking. I didn't say that we have to think anybody who's white. I'm talking about white supremacists, not just anybody who's white. Not all white people are white supremacists.
So, what deems Elon Musk a white supremacist?
He's actually spread Nazi and white supremacist propaganda on his Twitter, and he
has he said something. Has he said anything negative against any other cultures?
Yes.
Tell me.
Yeah. For example, there are people who he retweeted that basically call all the other cultures inferior except for Europeans, and he retweeted it and said truth. He also spread negative opinions about Black people, talking about how we're the most criminal and violent group in society.
I'm not gonna defend Elon Musk because I don't really know him that well. I don't know if he has any Black friends. He could be a racist, as far as I know. He's from South Africa. Shit, I think they're all racist, honestly. But I don't think he would have did. I don't think his racism would have brought distrust to him being effective in Doge and trying to audit. I think he wanted to be successful in that venture. You know what I mean? I think he really did want to do the best job he could, whether it was a white nationalist or not.
Right. No, right. I get that. Right. We would think that he would like to do the best job he can, but racism isn't rational. So once you make decisions through that lens, you're not going to make good decisions, are you?
Oh man, blowing up the man's Tesla dealerships wasn't rational. So we're not going to play the rationality card. But at the end of the day, I don't think he would have been a bad person to do that job. But again, he received a lot of pushback from these NGOs and money that was being lost from American.
Right, because the way that you audit these things, number one, there was already audits happening for U.S. aid. Every single government body gets audited. That's the first thing. But the second thing is that Elon is not as smart as people think he is. He's not as smart as he thinks he is, because that was proven when he started auditing the quote unquote auditing the government, and he thought that there were funds going to make mice transgender. And the word that he read was transgenic, which is not the same thing as transgender. Oh, it was not the same thing as transgender. So that means he can't fucking read, right? So when people say like, no, he just can't read. Transgender and transgender are not the same thing. So he just can't fucking read.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when he goes into these government agencies and tries to get all this information, which includes a lot of our personal information, this is a private person who has no security background, has no background in government finance, has no background in any of this, right? But we're trusting him with all these with all this information and telling him to cut anything out that he deems as wasteful. That's not only a lot of power for one individual to have, he may not know what the fuck he's doing. So yeah, that shouldn't be trusted, bro. Like, just because Elon Musk is one of the richest guys in the world and he runs Tesla doesn't mean that he knows how to run government finance or knows where US aid is going or knows how to read scientific papers. He may not. You know what I'm saying? So we have to actually get people who we trust to do these things, not just some guy that made Tesla. Who cares? He doesn't.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you would trust a politician in Congress, a representative, a rep, to audit your business over Elon Musk? You believe their intelligence, the people that are in Congress now, are more intelligent than Elon Musk? Be honest.
Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are.
Say it again?
Some of them are.
Some of them, very few, very few.
It depends on what
maybe in the Senate.
Yeah, it depends on what their expertise is. Yeah, definitely in the Senate. Like, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren. She was actually a professor of economics. So I would trust Elizabeth Warren over Elon Musk.
She's old and she's about what is that called when you like, she's a ideologue or whatever that means. I can't remember the word, you know.
So,
but again, it's about numbers, dollars and cents, pluses and minuses, effectiveness and waste.
Right,
and I
but
believe
he may
that,
not know all that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you can't assume that though, man. You're putting a bad faith. You're putting a bad faith in it. Y'all guys went in there pushing the issue.
It's not really bad faith, because the thing is, Elon Musk is a businessman, right? So businesses in the private sector, you're more worried about profit than you are worried about the service itself. You're just more worried about profit.
True.
Whatever makes the profit, even if the service sucks, you're going to do it because it makes you profit, right? So if Elon Musk is going in with that mind frame, he's not going in a mind frame with helping people. He's going with the mind frame of, how can I save money in order to make a profit? But that's not how government works. That's not how aid works. You don't make profit from aid.
I agree to an extent.
So
and
exactly.
That's why Rick got out of there. That's
right. So exactly. So that's why it does a lot of pushback for that. If you don't have any accountability, because he's one person with all this power. He has no experience in government finance.
He would have been one person. He wasn't even in charge. He didn't have a job.
He has to delegate responsibilities. Of course, one person can't do it. Exactly. But but what I'm saying is, this organization has no oversight. And these are a whole bunch of kids that don't know how to read. Again, he didn't know that transgender and transgenic are two different things. He can't fucking read. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, these are.
You can't say he's stupid because they don't have stupid things. Don't take the man as an idiot, illiterate.
Bro, if you were to see a paper that says transgender and then another one that says transgenic, are you gonna say these are the same thing?
I honestly wouldn't be able to read it because my vision ain't that good. But I'm not gonna go there. Don't question the man's intelligence because he said something stupid like that.
No, he's stupid. He's stupid. No, he's dumb. He's dumb. And the reason why he's dumb is because white supremacy is dumb, and he spread white supremacist propaganda. It's clearly done. Like, for example,
I don't follow like that.
For example, white replacement theory, right? Great replacement was created by a French dude who's a Nazi, right? So great replacement says that white people are going to be replaced by people from the third world, and Jewish people are the ones who's doing it. Basically, that is fucking stupid, but he believes it.
Do you believe that they imported at least 10 million people into this country?
No. Who's doing that? Who's doing that? There were already 10 million people in the country.
There were more than 10 million before, but let's say over the last 4 years, let's say that you think that they imported them in here.
No. Who's doing that? What logistics? Like, what evidence we have of that?
Well, I will say that, okay, easy. They broke every record of immigration in history, whether it was for the day, for the month, for the year, for the quarter, for the term. They literally blatantly denied a lot of the things. I mean, let's keep it real. They let people in the country. You not think that was a part of a bigger plan or a deliberate act?
No. And what does that even mean?
Why
To
they
let
do it?
people in, what does that even mean to let people in the country? What does that mean?
I just proved it to you. More than any time in history, they had more people cross the border. More than every record.
Right. So just because
over 15,000.
right. So just because people crossed the border and they were apprehended doesn't mean that they were just let into the country. You need to have evidence of that, because they could have been apprehended and sent back. So what evidence do we have that 10 million people were simply just let into the country willy-nilly? We have no evidence.
Let's not use a number. Let's say 5 million.
We don't have any evidence of that.
5 million. How many you want to accept?
It's not about accepting.
How many
it's
would
about
you say?
no. Listen, I'm not just going to accept something without evidence. You just can't say 5 million were let in without any restrictions, and they just let them in. Here, go ahead, guys. Go into the fucking. You just can't say that. You actually have to have the evidence of what that is. What do we have? What we have when it comes on. Listen. What we have. Hold on. Listen. What we have is documentation that yes, there were about I think 500 or not 500,000. I think it was about 2 million border crossings, right? People apprehended at the border. That's what we have. We have evidence of about 2.5 million apprehended at the border in I think 2021, 2022. That's what we have. Now you're going to claim that 5 million were all just let into the country. You actually have to have proof of that. What evidence do we have that these 2 million people, what evidence do we have that 5 million people crossed the border, 2 million were apprehended and sent back, and the other 3 million were just let in here? How do we, what evidence do we have of that?
This is why it's unfortunate that our Alejandro Mayorkas was impeached, and it was supposed to go up to trial to let us know what type of evidence and put that stuff out there. But unfortunately, for some reason, he actually got impeached, and for some reason didn't have to go to a Senate trial. I don't know why, because maybe they would have figured out why these people are allowing these many people to literally come into the country, and proving my point even more deep. Once they came in, they were actually flown on commercial flights throughout the country to spread them out to black neighborhoods. I mean, if
what evidence do you have of that, bro? You're just saying that these things happen.
What you mean? They did fly. They flew them and they bust them to different states like Chicago.
Right. Hold on, wait. You're talking about people like
no, I'm talking about Democrats.
Which Democrat did that?
Democrats use NGOs. They use NGOs to fund this.
Which NGO did that?
Don't ask me for that. See what I'm saying? I can't. I wish I had everything.
All right. So you just can't claim things without evidence, bro. That's what I'm saying.
You fly in. They have flights.
Okay,
that's literally like
who's what? Hold on. You're saying that Democrat governors led people on Democrat NGO. What's a Democrat NGO? Name one.
They funded the plaintiffs.
Who?
I just told you the NGOs funded them to get
which
into
NGO? Which one?
I'm sorry. I can't be specific. I can't. I'm right.
So how do you know it happened if you don't even know who did it?
Because they had flights that flew from Texas to different states. I don't know.
All right. So, but Texas is not under Democrat control. What are we talking about?
We're talking about NGOs.
Which one?
I just told you I don't know. So
how do you know what happened if you don't know who did it?
Because I know the flights that came in, the flights that flew in from Texas into these other cities like Chicago, like New York.
Right.
I just think they got.
All right. So just because hold on, listen. Just because a flight went from Texas to Chicago doesn't mean that some Democrat NGO took illegals from Guatemala and Mexico and then flew them to Chicago.
They were in Texas. They were in Texas. They didn't fly them from Mexico there. They flew from Texas in America to other states.
All right. So So you're saying that there was these illegal people, some NGO went into Texas, found out where these thousands of illegal people are, bought them plane tickets, and then flew them to Texas. What actual paper trail do we have of this?
See, that's what I'm saying. I wish I could actually put that together. But how do you think they got from? Wait, just answer this question. How do you think they got from
Who's
Texas?
they, bro? Listen. Listen to what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Just because there's a Texas flight from Texas to Chicago with a whole bunch of people with last names like Sanchez and Gonzalez does not mean. Hold on. Listen. This is what I'm saying. Just because there's a flight from Austin to Chicago and there's a whole bunch of people on that flight with the last names like Gonzalez and Sanchez doesn't mean all of a sudden there was conspiracy by some NGO funded by some Democrats to get some illegal immigrants and put them in Chicago. You're making a leap. That's what I'm saying. You have no evidence of what you're saying. Yeah, I
Okay, you
can,
want
I can agree
evidence?
with
You
you.
want
Hold on,
evidence?
listen, hold on.
Okay.
I can agree with you. There are flights from Austin and Houston to Chicago. I took a flight from Dallas to Chicago before, right? That does not all of a sudden mean that some Democrat paid for my flight through an NGO and I'm an illegal immigrant because I went from Austin to Chicago. It doesn't mean that. Saying that there's flights from Austin to Chicago means nothing. You have to actually show what you're saying. And if what you're saying is true, there would be paper trails for it. And we have none. You don't even know which Democrat or which NGO did it. So how do you even know it happened? Oh, there was a flight from Austin to Chicago.
Well,
That's silly, bro. Flights from Austin to Chicago happen all the time.
Oh my God. Please explain to me how they got to New York. How they get from Texas to New York?
Who?
All the ones that are staying in hotels, the ones that Brennan Johnson said we can't.
Because Greg Abbott sent them there. It was Greg Abbott who did that. And Greg Abbott admitted that he did that. Ron DeSantis did that
initially.
Hold on,
They did that initially.
Hold on, let's
They did that initially.
And he kept on doing it. You think he stopped?
I think they could have, but I think they did work together. But don't tell me.
Yeah, exactly. You think they stopped? They didn't stop. They didn't stop, bro. That's what I'm saying. It was what you're blaming. Hold on, listen. What you're pointing your finger at to NGOs and shadowy Democrats. It was a Republican who fucking did it. So why are you blaming Democrats? A Republican did it, bro.
What do you mean? We tried to stop
Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis literally said that we're going to send these people to Martha's Vineyard, to New York, to Chicago, and they recorded themselves doing it. So they're the ones who did that. So when you're saying that shadowy Democrats paid NGOs to send illegals to Chicago, you're talking about Greg Abbott. He's the one who did that. Hold on, wait. Greg Abbott is the one who did what you're saying. Why are you blaming Democrats? It was Greg Abbott who did it. It was a Republican. It was a Republican who did what you're saying. Why are you blaming Democrats?
So here's the one that flew millions over there, all across the country.
Millions? What evidence do you have on millions?
Millions of people. Where do you think they came from?
What evidence do you have for that?
Yeah, okay, why don't you ask New York? New York, when the senators came up, the mayors of New York, Chicago, and Boston, whatever, they all gave reports on how many people over in their country and what they cost. And how the hell
they didn't say millions.
How they got to Boston?
Yes, they were.
Remember what they said.
There were hundreds of thousands. There were hundreds, upwards of thousands. Hold on, listen. There were hundreds. Hold on, listen. There were hundreds, maybe even a couple of thousand that got sent over to New York, Martha's Vineyard, Chicago, all the places, right? Hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. I understand that. That was done by Greg. Listen, that was done by Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis. They admitted that they did it. They recorded themselves doing it. So when you say that the Democrats did it, when you say that millions of people were sent all over the country, we don't even have millions of people landing in Chicago. What are you saying? We have no evidence of what you're saying, bro. None.
You're bringing up the one time at the initial flight when Greg
Abbott not once. He did it multiple times, and he admitted it. They
initially sent them to Martha's Vineyard. How many Mexicans or how many non-documents end up going to Martha's Vineyard after that?
Hundreds.
Okay,
they kept on sending them there. Yeah, they kept on sending them there, and they kept on sending them to New York, and they kept on sending them to Chicago.
Bro, we did not. Okay, whatever. The semantics is we're not even going about who paid for what flights. The initial asking was, why did they allow this many people in the country Jump Street?
Who allowed what? What are you talking about allowed?
Well, it seemed like as if they denied Greg Abbott from being able to even help protect his border by keeping the barbed wire from them coming across. They literally let them in. I mean, again, they
let them in, bro. Like, hold on. There is no let them in. Listen. When it comes, listen. When it comes to the border, there are thousands of miles of the border that cannot be gated, right? Because there's a river there. It cuts through people's property. There's a whole bunch of issues of why you just can't put gates at the border, right?
Wow.
Because it'll mess with the natural.
No, that's not right.
Let me finish what I'm saying. There are reasons why there are parts of the border where you just can't put an unnatural barrier up because of environmental reasons, because of property reasons. And so that's the reason why you just can't put gates up. These are usually the places where people are going to sneak over, right? Through those natural barriers. Those are places where
people are going to sneak over.
Yeah, that's a lot. Listen.
That's where the surge came from?
Yes. So a lot of those places, a lot of people come through natural borders, the rivers, the deserts, et cetera, et cetera. That's where they come from, right? So yes, record breaking. That's where they come from. You know how people go through the Darien Passage every year? It's a record breaking.
How many?
Hundreds of people go through the Darien Passage, bro. Hundreds.
Oh,
As
we
matter,
have
or
millions.
if they don't go through the Darien Passage, they get on a boat and they sail around.
Stop trying to
just by
justify
paying
the amount of
people.
people came at him. Don't act like they didn't.
I'm not. Hold on.
That's
Listen.
what
Listen
they're
to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that your claim that people quote unquote let them in is silly because
Yes.
folks are going to come
No.
in. Hold on. Listen, bro. Stop reacting. The claim that people were let in is silly because folks are going to be coming into the country regardless of who lets them in or not. That's always going to happen.
How about
right?
encouraged? How about encouraged? Can we use encouraged?
No, I'm not going to use encourage. No one's telling them to do this.
Lies.
Kamala Harris literally got up there and said, "Do not come."
He went down. She went down there and gave him money to set up the damn passageways. That's what she went down there to
No, she didn't.
Guatemala to do.
No, she
So to
didn't.
believe she didn't do
No,
that.
she didn't.
What did she do?
That's
then?
not what it was.
What else did she do?
She
what else did she do?
went up there to talk to them about setting up businesses so people wouldn't come.
They gave her money. She gave money down there.
How much money did she give them? How much money did she give them?
I can't quote the exact number. I wish I knew. But
I
it was
know
in
you
the
get what
millions.
exact number because that didn't happen.
Yeah, she did give them money.
How can Kamala Harris give somebody money when she's part of the
They
executive
gave the
branch? And
country money. They gave the country money.
the executive branch does not have power of the purse. So how did Kamala Harris get the
Again,
money?
I told you she probably set up something through an NGO. We can Google it right
Which
now.
NGO?
I'm sure I saw.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and Google this right now.
Google it. Google
Did
it. 'Cause when she went down
Kamala
there,
Harris give
they guaranteed them some funds.
Guatemala money?
Secure some funding. What does it say? How much? How much, dog?
All right,
How much?
give me a second. I'm reading.
Oh,
Cool. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's
How much?
let's hold on. Wait, hold on. Let's stop reacting.
What?
I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna say you are right on one thing, but you're completely wrong on the other. Because you said Kamala Harris gave them money in order to encourage people to come, right?
okay. Yeah.
Right. So the executive branch does not have power of the purse. But however, when Kamala Harris did go down there, she did allocate funds to them. You're right about that.
Thank you.
She did allocate funds. But you know what the funds were for?
Oh, who cares what they were for?
Do you know?
They
Oh, no,
did anything.
not who cares what they were for. Because your claim was that they were she gave them the money in order to create a passageway for them to get here. That was
They got
your
money to
claim.
do whatever they want to do with it.
No. Okay, whatever they want to do with it. That's wrong. That's incorrect.
All right. Okay, that's my
That's
opinion.
not what the money was for.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is
What
a
was it for?
conspiracy.
Tell me.
Because the
What was it
root
for?
causes of migration are poverty, lack of opportunities. So what the money was sent down there for was exactly what I said, to create businesses for people to not migrate anymore. Because if they have more economic opportunity in their homeland, they won't migrate, would they? Right.
How that work
So
out?
the money
How that work out?
so the money was allocated. And it worked out pretty well, actually.
Got more
As a
people
matter
come
of
over
fact-
here. They came over here more. More
No,
people
they
came
didn't.
than stayed.
They didn't. It actually
We
dropped.
can see which country.
It actually
We
dropped.
can look at the numbers.
That's the crazy thing. It
We'll have to
actually
look at the
dropped
numbers.
after that.
Where'd
That's the
you see
crazy
these numbers
part.
from? Yeah, I
Huh?
would love to see.
I
how crazy
googled
that
it
is.
exactly
Sounds
like you
crazy.
said.
No, what you Google? What does it say?
I
How
googled
did
it
drop?
exactly
How
like
did
you said. I googled did Kamala Harris give Guatemala money?
we knew that already.
I
knew that
googled
already.
exactly what you said.
Okay, I already knew
And
that.
she went, yeah, exactly. And and you're correct. She did allocate funds to them. That's a problem to give to you. You were correct. But you said she gave them that money to do whatever they want with it. As a matter of fact, the first thing you said was she gave money to give them a passageway to get over here. That was bullshit.
Well, I figure like they.
But
I
the
figure
second
like they
thing you
gave
said was
NGOs
that she
for-
gave them money to do whatever she wants with it. And that was also incorrect. The money was for setting up economic opportunities in those areas in order to stop migration. That's what the
Sounds
money
good.
was for.
Sounds good.
And you also said that immigration from those places increased after she gave the money.
Probably.
So not definitely.
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm not
bro.
looking at the numbers, but it
Yeah,
makes
it didn't,
sense.
bro. It didn't, bro. All right, bro.
Well, how do you know that?
15 minutes is up because we actually have the
So you're
data.
gonna
of it,
justify
don't
that
we?
they just came.
We
they just
have the
came
data
overnight.
of it, don't we?
They didn't encourage it. They didn't encourage it.
No,
just
they
happened
didn't.
by and
They didn't. They didn't
All right,
encourage
good. Oh gosh. Oh, see.
All right. I appreciate you being up. All right. So you're probably gonna be my last guest, 12 gauge. 12 gauge, how you doing? Are you over 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
No, I didn't disagree. I agree with what you had on the board. And yeah, I'm way over 18.
All right, cool. How's it going?
Going pretty good. I was just kind of strolling past and I was listening to that guy. And I didn't really have any input unless he was gonna stay on there, man. I tell you,
Now he was past 15
kinda
minutes, so it
chime
was
in.
time for him to go.
yeah, well, and I can't quite get these people that's with this border argument, man. It's just so crazy. I don't understand, you know.
Yeah,
But
border argument is
anyway,
crazy. But I got you 12 gauge. Hey, I appreciate you being up. You have a great day, all right?
yeah, you too.
All right. All right, guys. Short live. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here real quick. Michaela, I do see you in the guest. I'm gonna get out of here though. I'm about to leave because me and wifey have date night. All right, over on YouTube. I appreciate y'all being there over on YouTube. I did pin the what's that called? The guest thing, right? I do see over on YouTube the gated. I do see over on YouTube, I have a bit of a lag. Not sure why that lag is there. I do have a bit of a lag over on YouTube, and I do apologize for that. But I'm gonna make sure that we go ahead and get this right for the next time. I'm a mod the account, I got you. I'm using StreamYard for now, but I do see that I have a bit of a lag. So that's probably why I won't have a lot of guests, but I appreciate Deconstruction Junction. I do appreciate y'all being there. Next time it's gonna run a lot smoother. I'll have a smoother ride, and I'll have my call-in number just in case anybody wants to call in. But I appreciate y'all over on the Deconstruction Junction. Y'all are amazing. I appreciate y'all. Everybody who's on my Volcy Thoughts channel, I appreciate y'all as well. Y'all amazing. Like I said, I'm gonna be pinning the call-in number soon. Yeah, I'm not lagging over on TikTok. I'm lagging over on YouTube. There's a bit of a video lag over there. I'm gonna figure that out. I'm gonna figure that out to see why there's a video lag. But I do appreciate y'all over on the YouTube. I'm going to go live again, probably not tomorrow. Today's Christmas Eve. So just gonna enjoy my night. Tomorrow's Christmas, so no stream tomorrow because I'm enjoying time with family for Christmas. And day after Christmas, I'll be on. All right. So you think left is policy to re-elections? All right, Alex, I think you're having a seizure over there, buddy. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. All right, guys, I do appreciate y'all being here. I'm gonna be using another streaming service next time just to make things go a lot smoother. But again, I do appreciate y'all. I'm gonna have my call-in number next time, and y'all have a good night. All right, so y'all be safe, and y'all have a good night. All right, peace.